Hi, my name is Jeff Fagano, and welcome to the Harpin on Rugby preview show. And joining me to look ahead to Leinster's next outing at the RDS this season is someone back for cap number 44. Hello to Mr. Tom Coleman.
Afternoon, Jeff. How are you keeping?
Not too bad at all. Good to have you. But we haven't heard from you since Leinster kicked off the URC. So, how have you seen the season so far?
Yeah, I suppose a bit of a mixed bag. We've obviously a lot away, and I was stating the obvious here. We really struggled over in Glasgow with some of our sort of, especially around the set piece, maul defence, the scrum. But we were relying on a lot of youth in that first game on both sides of the scrum. So it's probably no wonder we struggled a bit in that area because Glasgow had a few back that day. And then when Jenkins went off, or whatever maul defence we sort of had that day sort of fell apart. So midfield defence was a bit poor as well. Liam Turner, who's actually had a really good couple of seasons, probably had his poorest game in blue, which was a surprise. He hasn't been in the 23 since. He is not in it today, or maybe he has a little bit of a knock, but I haven't seen the injury updates. So yeah, a little bit of a surprise there, but bounced back good last week. It was in the RDS. It was great to get back under see a live game and get rid of those World Cup hangovers that we're all happy to park. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised how good of a performance we put in last week. Because I did look at the Sharks they looked to give Munster a good bit of trouble in the first half. I know Munster sort of got a grips of the game and finished well, but I was quite slightly concerned in some of the areas the Sharks were strong in that game. We were weak in Glasgow. I thought we might see a replication of a similar struggle. But in fairness, whatever work was done during the week, obviously Michael Alato was back. It was huge to have him back, and Lee Barron slotted in really well at hooker. I thought he had a good game too against Sharks last week. So yeah, no, good bounce back. Needed immediately after Glasgow.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of talk about this whole season being a transition season for Leinster, but there's an element of transition, just sort of a mini transition to this period right now, because not only are the players coming back, but there's a big change in the coaching setup as well. And a lot of the coaches took us through preseason. We were missing a lot of the main body of coaches. It wasn't just Lancaster and Nienaber. There was a lot of, Andrew Goodman away and all that stuff. So there's a lot of transition going on behind the scenes, and it's important to gradually get it right as we're getting closer to the Champions Cup and all that. But hopefully it's all going in the right direction. Yeah. Okay, so now it's time to look at our feature match of the week, which was, of course, Leinster v Edinburgh in round 3 of the 23-24 United Rugby Championship. It's taking place at the RDS Arena on Saturday, November 4th, kicking off at 3:05 p.m. TV coverage in Ireland is on RTE2, Premier Sports 2, and URC.tv. And as ever, you can find the full TV listings for the weekend on harpinonrugby.com. Just click the Rugby on TV tab. Leinster named their match day 23 at lunchtime on Friday, and if you're watching on YouTube, it's right there in the screen, or for pod listeners, it's in the program notes. Now, Tom's picked out 3 main points to look at in this lineup, starting with a bit more on the importance of Michael Alatoa.
Yeah, well, I think anyone that's seen the first 2 games realised how important he was. He locked out the scrum against a decent enough Sharks pack, who I thought, as I said, was going to give us a bit of trouble. And he just gives that sort of stability that was badly needed for that second game. It was the one area. I thought both our loose heads did okay in Glasgow, both the young lads, Paddy McCarthy and Jack Boyle, I thought were good around the park. But it was on the tight head side we really struggled, and having Michael back is huge. And given the team that Edinburgh have named, with Pierre Schumann named as loose head, Michael will be the most important person on the pitch again if Leinster to get the result we all need for the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what really stood out last week and when the team was named was the 16, 17, and 18. They put the caps in brackets, and it was 0, 1, and 1 for the 3 of them. So that just shows the importance of the starting front row. All right, and we'll move on to your second point now. You want to have a little chat about James Culhane at number 8?
Yeah, look, I'm a big fan of James Culhane. We've all seen him at under 20s, and he will have a big future for Leinster. I thought in the Glasgow game he was quite poor. Maybe that was an effect of what was happening in front of him in the pack, but he was very quiet. against a very decent Glasgow team. We were struggled at the breakdown. Scott Penny was sort of had a lone battle trying to curb that sort of Glasgow attack the first week. So look, Culhane gets another chance. I think there's no way Leinster are going to discard him, and there's a lot of pressure on him. There's a lot of good eights around, and he really has to sort of take every opportunity he gets. I know this is only his fourth cap, I believe, or fifth cap. So like it's a long way to go, and he has a huge ceiling as we've seen at under 20 level. But it's a decent Edinburgh pack, and it'll be a good test for him now. I think Hamish Watson is playing, and Crosby, yeah, who's a few caps for Edinburgh. So it's a big test again, but slight little bit of pressure considering how, in my opinion, how anonymous he was in the first game, and obviously he didn't make the 23. Last weekend there was a bit of change, and Deegan came in at 8, with Ruddock at 6. So they've reverted back to that team that was there in the first game. There is an argument, for keeping Max Deegan at 8. He had a good game last week, but I think we just have to trust the coaches that that they're going to give James Culhane another chance, and hopefully he takes it.
Yeah, because I mean, when you try to read into the selections, you're probably seeing things that aren't there. But in the preseason, they named Culhane captain for one of the games. So you wonder, is that sort of a reward for a hard work in preseason, that kind of thing? And so sometimes these players kind of really stand out. They might have their plan going into the preseason, but some players might really put in the effort and show that they're on the form, and that maybe that's why he got that start to the season. But then once they're playing for real, as it were, things might be a little different. So he might have just to take, maybe take a step back and readjust, and hopefully he'll come good this weekend. Okay, so I want to your third and final point here now, and I know we talked about this in the pod, but there's plenty can be said about Leinster's options at number 10, and it seems that they have one particular pair of out halves in mind for the moment, anyway.
Yeah, for the moment, it does seem from the early on sessions from the preseason games that the coaches favour Harry and Sam Prendergast, Harry Bourne and Sam Prendergast, to be the starting and backup 10 in whatever order that turns out to be, until Harry's older brother comes back. But I suppose the question is where Frawley fits in that sort of threesome. He's obviously slotted in at fullback, and he's done a decent job enough there. He's been safe enough under the high ball because some of the guy, I think Tommy O'Brien is very good under the high ball. Larmer spilled a couple last week. I know it was a little bit damp, a little bit miserable, but it's not his forte. But otherwise, he's had a decent enough couple of games on the wing. But yeah, at 10, it does look like Frawley's down the pecking order. Maybe this shouldn't be new to us. He wasn't really looked at the end of last season either. And the coaches are putting their faith in Harry, and then obviously with Prendergast, who had a very good cameo off the bench last week. He just seems to play with an assurance for somebody so young in that position. His crossfield kick for Tommy O'Brien was a peach. And I know the last few weeks we've been looking back at Johnny Sexton, and anyone that was long enough supporting Leinster to see him making his debut way back in 2006 against the Border Reivers. If Sam has any sort of career like Johnny, we'll be blasted both blue and green. But at the moment, Sam's playing at a higher ceiling at the moment than Johnny did at that age, because we all remember Johnny struggling a little bit when he was younger and he was sent back to St. Mary's. So that doesn't mean their careers are going to go in the same trajectory. But look, the signs are there that it's good for Harry or good for Sam that he's been trusted to come on. So that's a very real positive. Harry's been given a chance. He's was okay in the first game, struggled a little bit at certain elements of his game. But I did notice Sam did bring on a sort of a different pace when he came on in the last 20 minutes. Now, at that stage, the Sharks might have been running out of steam, so it's a bit unfair to compare. I'd like to see Sam start a game now over the next week or two and have the roles reversed. But yeah, it seems that the Kieran is going to be the third man there. But he's invaluable too, because he slotted in at 12 when Charlton Nagata got a, so players like that are invaluable. Somebody who can quality slot in at 15 and then slot in at 12 seamlessly. and he does add a different option to the attack. So maybe that's the reason they're playing him. They've no real threat at that position at the moment, given the amount of players that's away. And maybe they see Kieran as a perfect foil for both tens when they're on the pitch.
Yeah, because I mean, another thing we read into these selections, it's like Leo spoke about just before the season, first game of the season, he spoke about these blocks of games, and it seems that he does that they're starting to now pick sort of a core 23, that there will be changes when there's injuries. It might be the odd tweak now and then, but it mostly the same kind of basic frame to the squad for these 3 or 4, however many games they think they need before they start feeding back the internationals. And you see that again here. I think the key maybe has been in maybe the center. They got a lot of line breaks up the center against Glasgow, and that wasn't so much last week. And we've got Nate and Osborne. Now, of course, they both offer different things. Nate with his carries, and Osborne with that absolute rocket of a left boot. But it's defensively, we're going to have Mr. Van der Merwe coming off his wing and stuff like that. And there's going to be a lot of need a solid defensive structure through the center there. So we'll see what happens on Saturday. Okay, well, let's look at that Edinburgh team now. They also named that at lunchtime, and there's a lot of internationals back.
Yeah, there is. As you mentioned, Van der Merwe's back, and we mentioned Schumann. And Gilchrist is in the second row as well. He's important for their lineouts and stuff like that. Dave Cherry at hooker. So yeah, like obviously the SRU and Edinburgh are taking a slightly different tack to the RFU on when players get released back. From our own side of it, there was maybe thought that Joe McCarthy and Ryan Baird and maybe even Jack Conan might have appeared this week, or the likes of Jimmy O'Brien, players who had minimal minutes in the World Cup. But that may be for next week. It's not going to be this week. Yeah, but it's a strong Edinburgh team. Pretty much, given injuries, it's one of the strongest possible teams they could put out, and they're going to pose a real test for Leinster. Different type of test than the Sharks did, and a little bit of a hybrid from what the threat that Glasgow gave us and what the Sharks gave us. So it'll be interesting to see how we go. But you are right, though. History should tell us that Leinster's philosophy is to take these games in groups of 3 or 4, and it does seem to work. Obviously, the proof is in the pudding there with results over the regular season. That cohesion that comes with playing a consistent team over a period of games, like a block of games, and it does seem to work from Leinster. I think they're able to train together and run certain calls and certain drills, and there's minimal disruption to the team. So yeah, I get the logic. I get the logic that they're trying to do, but it's going to be a good test against a strong Edinburgh team. And let's call a spade a spade. Edinburgh probably have their best chance of winning in Dublin I can't remember when the last time they won there. I'm sure somebody will tell me it's only 18 months ago or something, but it seems a long time since Edinburgh turned up to Dublin and won. And but they'll think they have a good chance, especially if they've had a decent enough start to the league, and it'll be a good test for Leinster.
Definitely. I mean, it is good to see as a rugby fan, like to see a team pick their best available team. I mean, it's something you wouldn't see in, say, the top 14. Teams they have so many games to play that they have to. They tend to leave a few internationals at home when they go on the road, and like you say, I mean, this is a team that's they're come to say, listen, we're not coming over just maybe to sneak a losing bonus point or whatever. We're coming to have a go at you, and we know that Leinster might be gettable, and it's probably their best chance of getting a win in Dublin. So that's going to make it interesting. All right. Okay, so now we're going to have a quick look at the officials. It's Marius van der Westhuizen is the South African referee. He's got his assistants there. And the weather for Dublin, it's not great. The heavens opened after full time last Saturday, and it's looking kind of more of the same. The forecast is for rain and drizzle, 10 degrees, bit of wind Saturday afternoon. So we'll see if that has any effect on proceedings. Before we go into predictions, there's a bit of other rugby this weekend. What one other match on the schedule caught your eye?
I know the obvious one would be the top of the table clash in Ireland between Connacht and Ulster. I think obviously that will have a lot of interest at home. But I think that the game on the Friday, Glasgow v the Stormers, I think anyone that's like a neutral watch, I think that'll be well worth watching. Glasgow have started well. They did peter out a little bit in the last 20 minutes against Connacht down there, but they're very hard to beat at home. And the Stormers have started off this competition like fairly hot, and they've gone fairly strong as well. A lot of fringe guys that just missed out on the box squad, like Evan Roos and stuff, they're all playing. And I think, yeah, the Friday night game for me is Glasgow and Stormers will be interesting because they're both sort of rivals, sort of top four ish. Maybe Glasgow field six or top four possibly. So that'll be an interesting watch.
Absolutely, it's a big game for the league, and that Connacht Ulster is the first. Just to remind everyone that this Irish Shield thing this year for the first time is it's not how you finish, it's not how you do overall. It's how you do just in the interpros this season for
Yeah.
the Irish Shield. I mean, it's a minor trophy, but it's still a trophy to be gone for, and that's going to be the first game in that as well. Okay, so now it's time to put the head on the block and give your prediction for Leinster against Edinburgh.
It's when it's your own team and you're emotionally invested in the team, and they're at home, it's very hard to back against Leinster. Be a brave person that will, maybe Keano, who likes to think with his head more than his heart when it comes to Leinster, will back Edinburgh to win in his Super Brew. We'll see as that develops over the weekend. But yeah, for me, I think it'll be a tough game. I think it'll be a bit of a grind. But I like what I seen a lot last week from Leinster, and I think the cohesion, even though it's a strong Edinburgh team, I think the cohesion that we'll have developed over the first few games will just see us through by less than a score. I think it's going to be tight enough between sort of 5-7 points. Hopefully a full RDS on a sort of 3 o'clock on a Saturday can be the difference, because it can make a difference, and maybe Mike McCarthy will be out jeering up the crowd again to get them going before the game.
Absolutely. And when it comes to like possible Leinster scorers, I mean, you can't, if you anyone who's seen Leinster for the past couple of years on weekends like this, and you see names like Deegan, Penny, and Russell on the score sheet, I mean, you figure if at least one of them doesn't get in the score sheet, there's something wrong. So hopefully we'll get a few tries out of them at the weekend. Okay, well, listen, man, we're going to leave it there. Many thanks, Tom, for harping. Hope to have you on again soon, mate. Thanks.
Cheers, Jeff. Thank you.
And also to you all for tuning in to our latest preview show. Enjoy the match wherever you are. Be sure to follow us on all the usual social media channels. We will, of course, have a wrap pod for you recording on Sunday evening. Hopefully, you'll help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.